Pizza. Pizza is one of the most famous foods around the world, having an estimated $47 billion revenue in the year 2019. With one of the largest companies, Domino's Pizza has more than 12,000 chains in 90 countries. Pizza, with its ease and creative ways of customization, is one of the global giants in the fast food industry and is also popular in restaurants that make standardized pizza around the world. Pizza is the heart of many homes and relationships. It is a typical food depicted even in movies and shows just by its popularity. Something that many people never realize that the famous pizza eaten today originated from a group of people who were considered inferior. It's a classic rags to riches story. Our journey begins in the 18th century in the city of Naples in Italy. The modern pizza, bread, cheese, tomatoes evolved out of earlier flatbread served with Naples. The most common and inexpensive type we would call white pizza, flatbread topped with garlic, lard, and salt. Slightly more luxurious versions were topped with grated Caciovallo, a type of hard cheese initially made from horse's milk, now made from cow's or buffalo's milk. The vast majority of pizza eaters, however, were the poor Naples, who purchased the pizza from a street vendor and ate their meal on the street. It was considered a weekday food, as the poor saved money to buy macaroni on Sundays. A small slice for breakfast cost as little as a penny, while a two-penny slice would suffice for a child's school lunch. The men who made the pizza would work late into the night to make the pizza and sell them the next day. Unfortunately, since this was a dish typical for the poor, it was despised by other people of higher classes. Neapolitans recognized pizza for what it was, food for the poor. But a hero to the pizza story stems from the legend of Queen Margherita. According to the legend, in 1889, Margherita and Umberto were visiting Naples and grew tired of French cuisine, then a staple for European royalty. Pizzaiolo Raffaele Esposito of Pizzeria Brandi was summoned to prepare a variety of pizza for the Queen. He chose one with lard and basil, one with little fish, and one with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil. This last pizza, known as the pizza alla mozzarella, at the time became the pizza margherita once the Queen declared it her favorite. Pizzeria Brandi still displays the thank you note signed by Galli Camillo, head of the table of the royal household, dated June, and a plaque outside the restaurant tells patrons that this is the home of the pizza margherita. The legend fits nicely with ideas about culinary nationalism. Italians proudly maintain that the pizza margherita is one of two authentic Neapolitan pizzas, worthy of government protection today. Through this legend, pizza has become a great social equalizer, a culinary underdog, and a surprisingly tasty meal enjoyed by even most refined palates. So we must owe this too for the popularization of pizza, right? Wrong. Pizza did not become the national dish or indeed for many decades. In the early 20th century and the fascist era, pizza was ignored by much of Italy. Dictator Benito Mussolini asked Italians not to waste loaves of bread, not pizza, as he tried to conserve the nation's wheat stocks, and an official fascist guide to restaurants dutifully noted the abundance of pizza in the region around Naples, but nowhere else in the country. After World War, several factors facilitated the spread of pizza across the nation. There is, of course, the story that during the war, British soldiers stationed in southern Italy enjoyed pizza so much that they popularized it around the rest of this country. Still, more importantly, pizza consumption spread throughout Italy with the help of increased immigration and tourism. The great migration of southern Italians to the northern Italian cities in the 1950s and 60s meant that they brought with them their favorite foods. At the same time, as foot soldiers of the European economic miracle, southern Italians brought their eating habits to the rest of Europe. So pizzerias began to appear in Stockholm as well as in Milan. Less direct but no less critical an influence was the rise of tourism. In particular, growing numbers of middle and even working class tourists who came to Italy, expecting their grand tour of critical artistic treasures as well as sampling of Italian cuisine. In the years following the economic devastation under fascism and the World War, Italians witnessed a steady improvement in their living standards. Many consumers used their now expendable incomes and household appliances. They spent less money on groceries overall and they spent more money on foods they previously could not afford, such as meat, canned food, or wine. After decades, an explosion of cookbooks and women's magazines instructed Italian homemakers in the basics of culinary arts, interior design, and household technology. Italian consumers sampled dishes from other cultures and tried elaborate desserts and fine cuts of meat. It would not be until well into the 1960s and 70s that Italians spent more of their disposable income on snack foods like pizza. Initially, then, pizza had little to do with new consumer lifestyle enjoyed by Italians, even though non-Italian tourists seemed quite enthusiastic about trying it in as many parts of Italy as possible. Tourists returned from Italy with an increasing craving for pizza, and tour the pizza restaurants and make-at-home pizza kits are popular in countries like Sweden and Japan. In the United States, pizza fans maintain that Italians may have brought pizza to the States, but America introduced it to the rest of the world. Although there was creation of smaller restaurants after the war in the United States that grew in cities like New York and Chicago that popularized in the country, the one primary key that made the pizza become a global entity was chain restaurants. Before World War II, franchising practice in America shifted from selling goods to selling services like food preparation. After the war, Americans embraced franchising as a business method that combined the economic efficiency and security of a big business. The early pizza franchise entrepreneurs flourished in the American Midwest, where there was little competition from Italian American pizzerias. Domino started in Michigan, and Pizza Hut began in Kansas. The founders of these pizzerias were not recent Italian immigrants, nor were they expert pizza makers. Instead, they were businessmen who saw tremendous opportunities in pizza sales. Their efforts to make pizza production more efficient effectively dislodged pizza from its Italian roots. Pizza Hut began in 1958. Within 10 years, the business had boomed to include stores. Pizza Hut's restaurant served thin crust pizzas made with spicy sauce, which was popular in the Midwest and southern United States but had to be adapted to suit northeastern tastes for a chewer crust. During the 1980s, Pizza Hut launched a drive for greater global recognition. In the last days of the Cold War, Pizza Hut enthusiastically courted communists. It was 1988 the first pizza chain to set up a shop in China, opening a restaurant in Beijing aimed at Chinese customers. Up until then, pizza had been available only to foreign tourists in China. In 1990, the first Pizza Hut was opened in Moscow. Following that was a whole program to open up chains in even more and more countries up to this day. Domino's, as mentioned before, followed this path of global domination. This encouraged more people to set up their independent pizza shops around the world. Whether it was a fast food type like pizza or the standardized pizza, the chain restaurants introduced pizza to many countries unaware of its existence, building it up to becoming one of the most famous dishes around the world. Neapolitan immigrants set up pizza shops throughout the rest of Western Europe. They capitalized on European-wide trend towards eating out and snack food consumption. Shortly after the pizza was introduced to the rest of Europe, it became widely popular throughout the continent. The status of Neapolitan pizza as a measure of what an authentic Italian pizza was never questioned. Italians who patronized the local pizzeria run by Neapolitan Pizziello became increasingly aware that something had to be done to protect this particular culinary legacy. In particular, a growing number of pizza makers and consumers in the city were worried that the authentic version of pizza was in danger of being lost forever in a world of standardized, mass-produced fresh and frozen pizzas. In 1989, after celebrating the anniversary of the Pizza Margherita, members began to earnest discussion about getting Neapolitan pizza certification of regional authenticity that frequently applies to wines and cheese. It gave birth to true Neapolitan pizza, commonly referred to as VPN in Italy. Built in were lobbying for greater protections for pizza and granting memberships to pizzerias around the world, guaranteeing authentic Neapolitan pizza. The rules for making authentic Neapolitan pizza is how these regulations not only restrict the definition of pizza but also the very essence of what pizza was and still is. In 1995, the mayor Antonio Basolino, one of the biggest political supporters of Neapolitan pizzas, started Pizza Fest, attended celebrations of pizza held every autumn. Other festivals of pizza are oriented more towards friendly competitions between pizza makers in which guests compete in categories such as acrobatics, speed, size, and creativity. In keeping with the times, there is even a gluten-free category in the Pizza Olympics. Some of the competitions, including the Pizza Olympics and the World Pizza Cup, invite participants from around the world. Pizza is a simple food if you dig deep about it. It is as simple as adding tomatoes on bread. Its simplicity is its most prominent attraction. Still, it is used to reflect on society and the state of people it carries with its history, from being despised by others to holding an international standard. As the popularity of pizza spread from Naples to the rest of the world, it changed, sometimes dramatically in terms of shape and flavor. As it moved into different societies, pizza came to mean different things to different people, taking on more significance than a simple snack. For Neapolitans, pizza was a way to survive, but it later became part of the city's mythic history. As new groups of people embraced pizza, they adapted it to suit their taste or ideas about a good meal or snack. Whether or not we should keep pizza as authentic as possible or take pizza to new horizons, we can all agree that pizza has gone a long way to become what it has become today. It is one of the most unpredictable rags to riches story to exist in the world today. If you want to learn more about pizza, check out the book Pizza: A Global History by Karol Helstowski, which is a significant reference material that was used in the video. It gives more detailed analysis of pizza's history and even covers the future of pizza in the world today. The link to the book will be in the description below. If you liked the video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell button to be notified when a new video is uploaded on the channel, so you don't miss out on the great and exciting things that come from exploring food bit more. And kindly share the video, it will help the channel grow a lot.